Hello, welcome to the Swatches live stream. I'm Clint, and this is Diana. We're going to be taking a look at the finals for the Space Marine Art Challenge in this episode. We will give a couple of minutes just to run through some announcements relative to swatches and things you guys might be interested in, and also just give a chance to make sure all the technicals of the live stream are working okay. We apologize for starting a little bit late. My extra monitor has decided to go out on us, and so I'm trying to pack everything onto this one screen, and bear with us as we deal with that technicality there. Anyway, here are some things going on as swatches. Winter classes are open for registration. Now, the self-study classes are always available. You can pick those up anytime, but we're talking about the classes with instructor feedback from Dinah, myself, Guillerme, Nino, and you can get those at 25% off through the next 5 days. After that, they go up to their regular price. Now, all those lessons start between January 5th and 12th, so you've got some time off through the Christmas holiday before you would jump into that. Highlighting just a couple of the classes, form drawing that Diana is teaching. This is a new class based on how to do volumetric painting and shading.
Form rendering.
Yes, sorry. Form drawing was my old one.
That's a different class. This is form rendering.
This is the follow-up. This is number 2 in the fundamentals once you go through the drawing one. And this is focusing more on the painting side. Intro to Stylization is from Guillerme. He is an artist with Blizzard on Hearthstone. Really great work from him, and this is a new class that is really getting some solid results from the students, and people are just genuinely really enjoying this class. Guillerme is such a good teacher of this subject, of imparting how to do effective stylization that you can also adapt to a variety of different kinds of looks and properties. And character illustration is a new one from me. Focus all on doing RPG characters like those you see in D&D and Pathfinder. This guy here is an example character that I create during the class. He's the demo character. And we'll take you through the whole thing from like designing a character, shading, colors, material rendering, different body types, that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in doing standalone character illustrations, check out that one. Okay, any issues on the comments? Everything looking okay?
Everything's fine. Just want to let people know there's only 3 spots left in my new class. Yes. So the class is almost full. If you wanted to grab one, don't wait too much longer. Also, the next art challenge.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you can vote on what the theme will be if you go to swatchesdiscord.com in the challenge announcements, I think, in that channel. There's a few options there that you can vote on for what you want the next theme for the next art challenge to be if you want to participate in that.
Now, we've got a couple of good options in there, both illustration and concept art, depending on what your interest. Props and characters being the main themes on that. Okay, so for this art challenge, to give you a quick rundown before we take a look at the art pieces. This was themed on Warhammer's 40,000 game series in the world, and it is not sponsored or endorsed by the company. Each artist was given a PDF in that there were 3 scene prompts that they could choose from. They're very brief, a sentence or 2, just outlining what the scene needed to be. They've already had 4 weeks. At 2 weeks in, we took a look at their sketch. There's a previous live stream if you want to see those. Then they had another 2 weeks to work on the final. Now, we are going to be looking at each of those, giving some feedback on the artwork, making some suggestions if they want to push the piece further, but also name our top 3. And the winners will be receiving prizes. They will receive, first place can have either a copy of the game, the Space Marine 2 game, on the console of their choice, or they can have one of the self-study courses, and then the second and third place also get a self-study course of their choice from the website. We'll hook them up with that. Okay, so let's take a look at the submissions over here. All right. Just pull them up in alphabetical order here. All right. We have, I'm going to start down on this end. Okay. First up, we have Alan's piece. This is based on the enemy's prompt. We have a space marine facing off against a Tyranid. Alan, really nice finish to the piece here. I like this sort of classic yellow, orange, blue color dynamic overall. So that's looking good. I think we'll just flip through them, kind of chat about them first, then come back through.
Sure.
Okay. Next up, we have Anthony, and he is doing also the enemies piece with the face-off of the Marine and the Tyranid. Battle scene here, very cool. Here we have another enemies piece. Space Marine taking on a couple of Tyranid there. This one's by Hannah. Toby's piece here. This is the Ford. We have two Marines scouting forward in the scene, crash ship behind them. Another forward piece. I think Yehor probably got squeezed on time. He went ahead and sent in what he had. Would love to see it get finished at some point. Hey, drop it on the Discord. Would love to take a look at it.
Yeah.
If you can get to it. Obviously not finished yet. And Sven is doing the victory piece of the triumphant Marine with the banner over one of his enemies there. Okay. So it just gives everybody an idea of what the submissions were. Now let's talk a little bit about what could be done to improve a little bit of each of these. Then we will pick out our winners, announce those. Just so I can point, but we'll get on my pen here. Okay. So when you're looking at this, what do you see as like the major things that would give us the most out of this piece while making, major changes?
I think the easiest thing to do that doesn't require any structural changes would be just to develop the costume of the Marine a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So develop the design, so add more things to it to make it a little bit more interesting or unique.
Yeah, I agree. The overall values and colors are working quite well. I like that. I've seen other pieces of the Warhammer franchise using the same dynamic. But we are just having a lot of fairly simple pieces. That is, yeah, there does need to be an armor piece here, there does need to be an armor piece here, but can we find a little bit more elaborate shape for them? Could we like divide this out so that this is another piece there? Could we have like a little bit, how this is cut back? Can we cut this back and maybe see a little bit of the black undersuit inside of there? Could we have some bolts, on the sides of these? Maybe there's an extra decal on the side of this, right? Or same thing up here. Could there be some kind of decal on the top of this thing? That's really what the next step would be for this.
Maybe like more of the belts. We don't really see enough of it, or more things on it could be good.
Yeah, that's quite common for them to have that belt around there. And I do feel like maybe we're losing a little bit of the overall hip area. The chest is nice and large, and that's very important for this armor. It's almost bulbous, the amount of the chest armor. But I kind of feel like we're missing a little bit of the torso there, and they usually have some space for that belt. We've got this one piece there, maybe a few more pieces, and developing those designs a little bit might push the leg down slightly in order to make room for that. With the weapons, I'm not real up and up on the weapons, but just like visually, maybe cool to have just some like cables or something running into this thing. Again, just finding a way to jazz it up a little bit. And some more serious damage. You've got light damage, which is good. You've got this kind of scuffing in various areas, even on the guns and stuff. So that's the right way to go with one level of wear. But then you also want more definitive wear where it's like dents. Like you can see physical dents in the armor or burn stain, like from fire and close gunshots and that sort of stuff. So I would go one more level with the battle damage on the guy, and that would really make that just a lot more engaging to look at. There's multiple details to kind of travel around and enjoy as you're looking at him.
It's because the monster is very developed.
Yeah.
So that's why the guy, by comparison, looks a little simple compared to the monster.
Yeah. And that's, kudos to you on the monster, the Tyrannid here. He's got lots of little like teeth and the ridges and stuff. And he's pretty well developed. I don't even feel like he necessarily needs more because he's so much in the background. So yeah, I may even play up some more info on that, like really have some more definitive blood stains. This is one of those properties you can get away with that. It's kind of over the top action and violent action. So I would see if you gear that up a little bit. Okay, Anthony's piece. All right, the pose definitely feels better now. The original pose had him twisted in a bit of an odd way. So this is definitely working better. The head turn here is better. Obviously, he's not looking directly at him. He's cutting his eyes back to look. But it definitely gives an idea of like, he just surprised him. So he hasn't turned around to really fight yet. He's just kind of responding very quickly. So on this one, anything stand out to you much as being something that would immediately need to be fixed, or if not fixed, then what you could do to plus it?
I actually think this looks really good. To plus it, there's just one thing that's kind of jumping out at me in a strange way, which is this pink color. I'm not sure, we are not in the know about these weapons. I don't know if they're supposed to be that color, but I would maybe match it to this color.
Yeah, maybe not as pink, maybe a little more to just the true red side.
Or maybe closer to that color. Maybe because the Tyrannid is a bit close, maybe I would do some more work with the edges and the forms a little bit.
Yeah. We do have a nice amount of resolution on the Marine, which should be there because he's really the focal point of the piece. But because the Tyrannid is so close to camera, we're almost begging to have one more pass of resolution on the Tyrannid just to make up for the fact that it's so much closer.
I feel especially in the head that it's a bit flat. We're not getting really any kind of volume out of that head.
Now, I'm coming from the direction of like, if I'm thinking about the lighting, like these are my little action figures, right? And I can just move the lights around where I want them. I don't have to remember to keep it over here. Our webcam is there. I would consider, like, even if this guy had the warmer underlighting on him, instead of like on the left side over here of this guy, then we could have like a cooler back scene there with him, and then you could pop out more from this guy over here, and then you have kind of a dynamic of like warm and cool overall.
That would just help you reveal the form on
Yeah,
this guy.
and it doesn't. I'm going really strong here, obviously, and I don't think it needs to be that strong. Let's try tone it here, bring it. Oh, I did it right on. I thought I made a new layer. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just do it really fast. So this is a very common thing that you'll see with a lot of what we'll call showdown pieces, one-on-one kind of battle scenes, where they each have their own color scheme on their side of the image, and it can really help just the overall quick read and conveys the sense of what's going on. Even if we're in something like that range, it's not bright enough to really overwhelm the scene, but exactly what you said, we could use it to really develop the forms in that shadow. And then potentially, we don't need the bright light on him there. And instead, we could give him more of the angel light kind of coming over, because he's like the avenging angel, right? He's coming in to wreak justice on the Tyrannid. And so you just give him this kind of bright backlight, and this just ratchets up the intensity a little bit. Yeah. I don't know about that also matching the exact same angle there. Minor thing, but otherwise, yeah, some really good rendering and good improvements from the last time that we saw it.
I agree. I feel like this piece is a level up for Anthony. Definitely good work here.
Yeah. Okay, Hannah. Hannah, you definitely took the feedback. We went from the version where the gun was pointing like right inside of the body shape, and it was visually hard to make out, and I said you could rotate it, and that's exactly what you did. This is much more understandable as far as the pose, so I like those edits. The action is definitely there. I think one of the things that works well in this piece is just the overall tone of battle, right?
It's dialing into the vibe.
Yeah, yeah. The general vibe of the 40K feels like it's there. If we were to do more with it, some of the things that catches my eye is it's not so much the entire scene. It's not like adjusting the scene, but it would just be the rendering. It's the rendering at the last where we're just handling a lot of the edges and the material rendering. That's where I think we could push it up. Like in the banner, the fabrics, I feel like this is the idea of what we want the fabric to do, but it still feels a little unfinished. Feels a little placeholder.
I feel like it could really benefit from some reference.
Yep, yep. Obviously, this could be, and it very likely was, a time issue. I know everybody's busy, and this is just a little challenge. So, it's not like a real commission or something. But if you had more time, that's where I'd put some of that time in. And this is also another one where I've put in a little more grunge probably on this character. Get some more like dirt and stuff. And not just glaze it in, like, be definitive with it. Also consider, right now, it feels like we could probably give more of the barrel-chested, right?
Largeness.
Yeah, well, it just feels like he's just very straight up and down. He's just standing very stoic. Where a lot of these guys in their illustrations for 40K, they really lean into the rounded, kind of like hero chest pose. And I feel like we could justify that on this one, which would be shifting those hips forward more and probably shifting the head back a little bit to make it feel like the chest is coming forwards. Doing a little more of that.
Just pushing the chest out, you mean?
Yeah.
Back.
You could Frankenstein it. You could just do a little warp, and I think get a little more out of the pose. But as is, quite nice. I'm not really going to demo a draw over on this because when we get into material rendering and edge work, that's just time.
Yeah, so in terms of edge work, just what we're talking about is there's a lot of fuzzy edges on things like soft, where there should be hard edges on some of these things because they are different things. So they can be definitively separated from each other.
Yeah. Everything's kind of running with the same semi-soft edge, and we just want to be sharper on that. Okay, there's good stuff there. Good stuff. Okay, Toby, yeah, also obviously listened to the feedback, implemented that. We've got some extra fires back here in the background, and just took the advice on adjusting the poses, kind of the placement of where the guys are. Very close to what I had kind of imagined the final would be. You kept right with it. We followed the brief. We have one guy without the helmet on. I said one of them did need to have black armor. You went ahead and just made it uniform between them, had them both wearing black. And I do want to pull into the face.
That's a good looking face.
That's a good looking face. And you made a good call here, which is these guys should look like they've been roughed up. Like they live in a state of nonstop warfare, and the Marines can live to be centuries old. They're genetically engineered to be kind of immortal fighters. So I think it makes sense. And I think it's a good rendering. So overall on the characters, I like the development of the armor in particular. I just feel like it's got the right, like little insignias like that. It's all the little belt things. It's all the little paneling. This just adds to that sort of, I don't know, gritty sort of realism that makes it very believable. Those weapons also feel very believable. So I feel like you're either good with coming up with weapons or you found a good reference there because that looks nice. Good logo there too. Okay, background. I feel like it fits the bill. I would say that the explosions and the fire could be done better. It sells the idea, but they do feel a bit photo bashed, a little photo textury, filtery, and that's something we could push forward more. Going forwards from here, in my mind, I really think that we need more of that kind of 40K, a little more dynamic lighting to just bring up the contrasts. Even though this isn't necessarily them in the middle of a battle, you can still have it a bit stronger with the mood and the lighting and that sort of stuff. So over here, it'd be like looking at bringing in some of this nice warm rim light and potentially using it to convey a lot of the forms on the shadow side of the character. Trying to get something warmer there. So underlid on a lot of this stuff, with some things like having a particularly high highlight. Same thing over here. We just want to indicate some rim light over there on these guys, catching some on this. Maybe pushing the more atmosphere, just like maybe it's like snowing or something. We're just getting more haze and stuff back there. Get a little more silhouette shape out of the ship. And start working in a little bit larger masses, and then the glows a bit out of focus. Maybe we're just getting a lot of dark clouds that are
dark smoke.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. We need more dark smoke, and you just see a bit of the glow towards the bottom on the inside of the smoke. And there, and potentially we could.
Oh, you have the line here.
Oh, oops. Exposure. Something else that I notice in a lot of the Warhammer art is that they will add a bit of extra spotlighting just on the head and shoulders area. Not really justified why it's there other than it looks good. Mm. So sometimes in illustration, that's what you do. So I'm going to look at that. Just try to pop that guy out a little bit more. Even a little bit on this guy here. There's a lot of nice stuff going on in that. And then maybe we could even let the foreground become more shadowed. And kind of go up into a more shadowy area. And that background is just getting more kind of out of focus back there. So that, I feel like that, and all we're trying to do is like really bring more attention to the face. That's kind of the highlight of the piece there. Him as well with his helmet. Using that lighting to create a little more mood and contrast in the scene. Thoughts?
No, I agree. I think it's got really good bones, the image, and there's a lot of nice detailing and development.
I also want to call out the armor as far as just the overall proportions. Like, they feel good, right? And these guys have clunky sort of shapes. Okay. Yay horror. Not really going to say much. Obviously, this is
it's a start.
It's a start. We saw the 3D model that you mocked up first. That's a fine way to do it. You're putting in your flat colors. Cool. From this point, I would suggest make sure you do a quick study first before you get into doing all the rendering on all the little detail-y stuff. Find one of the probably existing 40K art pieces that you like that has the sort of lighting and color scheme that you want to use, and that all the good ones have already been used, so it's okay to look at something else that's already worked. And do a quick study. Just, you don't have to keep in the lines all perfect. Mock it in kind of quick to just see how it works on your scene with that sort of lighting, that sort of color scheme as a proof of direction. And then if you're cool with that, then move forwards with the more tedious, going bit by bit, blocking it in sort of thing. And yeah, post it up on the Swatches Discord when it's done, and we'd enjoy taking a look.
Everyone to do that too for all the participants. If you want to put a little bit more time into your piece or make any changes, you can do that, and then go ahead and post in Discord, show everybody your final.
Okay, the last one I'm going to take a look at is by Sven, and it's got the victory and the banner here. Overall, it's got some good 40K vibes to it. I'm definitely getting that feeling. We're getting the action. We're getting kind of the over-the-top armor hero scene going on there. But you're looking at this, does anything strike you as needing more attention? What would you do to kind of push us up? Or are there any mistakes that sort of stand out to you that first need to be fixed?
The thing that I mean, there's just a couple of things, Sven, if you wanted to take it a little bit further. I think it looks great. But if you want to develop it just a little bit more, I would put some more attention into that banner.
Hmm.
Just the way it's, the form of it. The decoration, like the symbols and stuff, is very cool. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. It's more of just the way that it's rendered to be blowing in the wind, where we've got some loops that feel a bit unnatural.
Yeah, I would agree. That doesn't feel like a great pattern, because then it just feels like you're getting this loopy thing.
It doesn't feel as realistic.
Yeah. So I would say that as well, and that would definitely help.
Yeah, some more time spent on this guy. I think attention to the edges, kind of just developing this stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good block in. It's a first pass, but if you wanted to really push this up a notch, I would spend a little bit more time just being definitive with the edges there.
Hmm. If we do want to have another guy in here, then let's try to separate him out a little bit. I know that he's not that important, but he's got like the exact same values as the thing behind him, and it just makes him really hard to read.
Have a stronger silhouette.
Yeah, we could just make the top of him a little bit darker and the dark values, just so that the top part stands out a little bit, and you can let it fade to the same values he has right now on the bottom, and that would help that stand out. Good amount of textures, materials, insignia, just the development of the overall character is looking good there. Okay. We are getting a bit washed out, and I feel like it's just kind of uncommitted to what some of the stuff is over here and kind of what the distance is.
Even this could just be one silhouette, like one tone
Yeah,
or two tone.
we got the tower up here.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm kind of aching for there to be not just a single tower over there. Maybe just the suggestion of like something else, some other thing behind it, just to keep it from being a one-off. Anything that's a one-off is automatically more important because it's unique. So if you can make another thing next to it, it sort of de-emphasizes it back to just being a background element, which would be good. Okay. So that said, we've taken a look at each of these. We've talked about things that can be done to improve them all. But let's go ahead and announce the winners then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Okay, so first place, we are going to give to Sven. Sven, congratulations. This is, I think, the piece that really fits the Warhammer bill. I looked at some other Warhammer art. This has a good design for the character. It captures the overall mood of the scene. The painting is quite solid. Drawing in it is solid. As with any piece, it can always be improved. That's why we're talking about a few things, but very successful image.
Yep.
Yep.
That was pretty much what we were wanting out of this challenge. You delivered.
Yep.
So great work. I just wanted to mention, sorry, not to ruin the moment for Sven, but I think we missed a piece. I'm feeling like we didn't review one piece that had a Tyranid. Do you know what I'm talking about? I feel like there was another piece. Like this one? We didn't review that.
Why did it not come up when I opened it?
That one. Yeah, it's there.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so hold that thought. Sven, you're in first place. We're gonna announce second and third place in a moment. We just missed a piece here, and I wanted to get to that.
Okay. Good improvements on this one. I don't know why it didn't pull over to it. Good improvements on this one. We pulled out. We have a much better feeling of the overall scene, and the enlargement of the creature makes him a much more formidable foe than what we had with him being a lot smaller. Other things that I'm liking about this is just a good resolution on like the edges. You're quite definitive with a lot of this stuff. It's easy to start trying to get real fuzzy or ambiguous and just not have to go define everything. And I feel like you did.
Yeah, the helmet is cool. This
Yeah.
part behind here is cool. There's a lot of neat developments in the design.
Yeah. There's some there's some good design work with the kind of crusader aspect of the crosses, the little lamp thing down here, the little emblems on these pieces hanging off. Those really add to making the whole character a lot more interesting. And the points of improvement, I feel like this is another one where we kind of need some more spotlighting up in here. Because overall, the whole main character is shadowed. And I don't know, I'm hesitant to do that a lot without adding a little extra light somewhere.
Could have a light coming from down here. And we kind of pull
Yeah.
the same trick with underlighting. Every time you have a character that's mostly in shadow, and so the forms are flattening out because there's no real direct light on this stuff, then a secondary light from the side might help to pull out the forms. I feel like it's almost doing that here, but we could maybe
Yeah.
slow down that.
Yeah, I do like what you've got with this one, but justifiably that light's not that bright, so you can't do too much with it, which is why you kind of need to invent another light. And that's why a second light can be really good, is because it helps you develop things in shadowed areas. Like we could potentially make that brighter and use that to help, illuminate a little more. But I think you need something mainly for this area, and it's probably going to come from below. With 40K, that can almost always be a fire on the ground from something.
Yeah, or
Yeah. Yeah. So on him, as far as the rest of it,
I feel like one area of improvement would be to be careful with getting really contrasty, going too dark in those values. Almost makes the anatomy of the creature unclear.
yeah, the creature is getting a lot of definition in the values in the anatomy in some of this area, which is a little problematic because you only have high contrast and things like that when it's under direct light, and that light creates very strong light shadow patterns. But because it's an even amount of shadow, you wouldn't really get that. And right now what it does is gives the sense of like these really defined anatomy, and also just kind of a visual busyness, that they're all equally as dark and equally as light in each of these little areas. And it makes it a little hard to read the limb as an entire limb, because it's sort of cut up by all these little light dark, yeah, subdivided by all those little patterns. Yeah. Okay.
Just one small thing I feel like we have to mention, just because it's a little bit awkward of a placement, and it is something that, like, if you were doing this piece for this property or for, a client, they would mention to you because it's something that the audience would notice and comment on. It's just the placement of this one tentacle. I mean, it's coming right from, underneath or between the Space Marine's thighs, and it can give the wrong impression, which I'm sure you didn't intend. I don't think you did. But it's, it would be kind of comedic in a scene that we don't want to be
Yeah.
comedic. Like it's a serious action scene, right? So maybe removing that and just letting the fabric hang would be a solution.
Yeah, my thought is this is coming down like this and then coming around here. So first of all, like these two don't meet in their curve. You could just have it where it's in front of the cloth and it just comes up like this,
That would work too.
and that's fine. Yeah, we just have to be careful. We can run into the same sort of thing with armor. It's like putting bolts on the chest of the armor. I've done it before, and as I come back later and take a look at it, be like, well, obviously you could do it that way, but placement says that's a little odd. So we just have to keep that in mind. Yep. Okay.
I think it's worth another pass. I think there's enough things going right about it for you to give it another go, simplify maybe the anatomy of the creature a little bit, and solve that tentacle issue. And I think it's worth it. It's a nice piece.
I'm going to mention one more thing. If you do put a little more time into it and you're willing to make some adjustments, I don't think it would take much repainting. I think it would just take some selections and adjusting. That the overall size of the chest piece is looking a bit small compared to the size of the head. And generally the helmets are, fairly large.
The heads are pretty small.
But yeah.
No, like your proportions look good for a normal person.
Exactly.
But they have like really exaggerated bodies.
The Space Marine, the actual bodies inside the Space Marine armor are not normal proportions.
We thought they were, but we were wrong.
No.
When we watched Miguel's video and he explained the actual anatomy, it's really
their
weird.
actual anatomy, they're like 10 head lengths tall and like 4 heads wide. So it would be like getting the chest and making this chest bigger, and potentially I would look at curving that leg out so we get a knee bend there. Just because we kind of need to see that knee bend, otherwise it's just straight. So it wouldn't take a lot to do that, but I think it would just help you to get more on model with the marine anatomy. All right.
Okay, so now we're caught up. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, I missed that earlier.
So we'll go now to our second and third place.
Yes, second place is going to go to Anthony.
Congrats, Anthony.
Anthony, really fun piece here. And let me go back before I put that mark on it. There we go. Really fun piece here. I like the pose. I like the development of the Marine. We've got the battle damage in a lot of these places, big scratches. Having the little fabric scripture pieces flying around, that's nice. And just good sort of posing from the Tyranid. He seems surprised. He seems like attack pose.
That's a good Tyranid too.
You can push it further as you can with any piece, but really solid work here. I think this is a nice show of skill and capturing the look for the property. And lastly, we have number 3. We did chat about this for a while. There's pros and cons to every piece, and ultimately we felt like we had to go with Toby.
Congrats, Toby.
Toby, the armor looks good, man. The armor has a nice amount of resolution.
The head really sold it.
Yeah.
Like, you did a really good job on that face, and that's what put you into third place.
Yeah, that was the selling point on this one. And the others, we want you to know that it wasn't because you didn't have selling points. Like, each of them had something really going for it. But in this particular runoff, we just felt like both the head and this other helmet and the overall attention to like the design of the Marine was something that just set this one over a little bit more. So congratulations to the winners, and we obviously need to get in touch with you and hook you up with some
I
stuff.
think they can just email me.
Yes.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know how to do that, just email me, Diana@swatchesacademy.com, and we'll sort out your prizes. So
Yeah.
just let me know what you would like. And also thank you to the participants. Obviously, we couldn't do this without all of you participating, putting yourselves out there. I know it's not easy to put your artwork out there on YouTube for everybody to see and have it critiqued. So we appreciate you, and hopefully you enjoyed yourself and you found the feedbacks helpful. What else?
Yeah, we will have more challenges coming up in 2025, and we are putting it up to your vote, depending on what you want to do. We're having the poll out on the Swatches Discord. You can just go to swatchesdiscord.com. We've got 3 choices out there. I think you will find one of them to your liking, and just put in your vote. We will probably kick that off next spring, and we don't have an exact date for that. But we'll announce it around. You should hear about it. We'll put it in the monthly newsletters. If you haven't got on the list for that, that is the best way to kind of keep track of what the new classes are, when the new art challenges
We
are.
don't spam, I promise.
No, we don't spam. We don't sell your stuff. It's only when we actually have something to share, we'll share it with you. And you can go to the swatchesacademy.com. Just go down to the footer, and you can just register for the email down there. Okay, anything in the chat? You kept an eye on it?
I don't know if anyone, I'm looking over here to the chat. I don't know if anyone has any questions about anything. If you do, let us know before we wrap up the stream.
Yeah, we'll take a minute to take any questions if somebody has them. I know that this has got like a 10, 15 second delay on it. So we'll give you just a moment to put in any questions if you have them. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up here pretty soon. So again, Sven, really cool piece, and I like the combination of the different materials and the colors that you've got. This guy feels a little eclectic, like he just keeps like adding more things to his armor as he goes from battle to battle.
Just has some really cool iconography.
Yeah. The passing bolts, again, like he's under fire, but he's just standing there. I like that. That's cool.
Well, I don't see any questions in the chat right now, so I'm guessing no one has any. I don't know,
guess so.
or they're typing a lot. Oh, apparently Sven has a fan club now, so good job, Sven.
Go Sven. Yeah.
Good job. All right. I don't know if there's anything else left to cover. I think.
Okay. Well, guys, if you want to study with us next month, we're holding classes. Go out to swatchesacademy.com. Until then, whatever you're doing, keep drawing. I'll catch you later.